So welcome everyone to our November meeting, which is our world's greatest meal for polio. And I want to say thank you very much to those who have donated and have informed us so that we can register it with the world's greatest meal. I don't even know what it is, a website or whatever, to show that our club has been active in supporting the polio eradication. Okay, I'm gonna let Jessica whack the bell to officially start the meeting because I don't think my hands will do it tonight. So I hope you
Uh,
all heard it. She doesn't hit it as hard as I do, obviously. So
Would you like it harder?
no,
yeah,
once
yeah.
is enough. Anyway, so to start off the meeting, I'd like Secretary Sue to please give us the birthdays and or anniversaries for the month of November.
Thank you, Madam President. We have one birthday this month on November 17th, Brittany Urquhart. And she's not here tonight because she's been moving, as Heather was telling us. And she sent an email to say she hadn't found her computer yet. And back to you, Madam President.
Okay, so I just want to make a procedural note. We are trying to still do our Did You Know tonight and hopefully get some happy notes from everyone before we all say goodnight. So I'm going to hand it over
Well, would you
to,
like to do happy notes and then that gives kind of time to.
well, it's pretty hard to do, but do you think we should do the Did You Know and the happy notes first?
Sure.
Okay.
And that way you can keep eating.
Yeah, because the poor guy is sitting here trying to have his dinner. So yeah, maybe you can give us the did you know first, and then we'll see
Okay. So
what we managed.
if anyone has not yet sent me an email, you have time to send a private chat message, make sure it's private, before I announce the winner. And I will count you because next month, I believe, is when we give out the prize to the person who has guessed the most correctly. I'll have to double check, but I think we have some people who have guessed right. The question for October was, did you know I wanted to be an interior designer? I loved the arts. I enjoy oil painting. Who am I? And at least one person, I think two people got this one correct. And I don't see any answers, so we're cutting it off. Jessica, give us a wave. It was Jessica.
I was right. No, I'm right.
And now your question for November. November. Did you know I once had a summer job selling ice cream for Dickie D? Who am I? Send your guess to Sue, and we will announce the winner at the December meeting. And I'll also email it out to you. So that is the Did You Know, Jessica? Did you manage to get a few bites in there? Then, Madam President.
Okay. Well, then I think I'm going to hand it over to Rick to get some happy notes so that we can give everybody here still a chance to finish their dinner.
They were the first one I was going to ask. Oh, damn. Still eating. Okay, I go. Knives out. Okay, who here is at least happy, quasi happy, or has a strange feeling? Oh,
Nancy?
Nancy.
I am so happy. Marilyn and I went to Green Bay, Wisconsin for 4 days, and I got to see the Green Bay Packers play, and I got to go down on Lambeau Field. It was a 35-year dream of mine. So,
And
to Marilyn for coming with me. It was absolutely amazing.
so it met your standard then. That's great. Ooh, is that your hand up there, Beth?
No.
No? You positive? I always thought it was sure was your hand up there. Who else can I pick on? Come on, someone else. Rich, are you happy? But he's not sad.
No, I'm not sad. We've been doing our best to peck away at all the Halloween candy that the kids collected for us.
Five or
We
six.
it was I think this was the nicest Halloween we've had in a long, long time. So I think I walked around in a t-shirt all night, and Dean lasted for about 20 minutes, and then Grady He's 11. He wanted to go for a couple hours. So we wandered around and we made lots of people in our neighborhood very happy because there wasn't a lot of kids in our neighborhood walking around. So everywhere he went, he got the comment about, "Oh, I'm so happy to see kids," and handfuls went into his bag. So
And he was happy too. So he changed his costume and came back.
yeah, he was happy.
Good to see a child happy like that and the sugar flowing like that. So he can be hyper and therefore even happier in his own mind. Who else can say anything about being happy? Nancy.
Okay, well, I am happy talking about this beautiful weather. They got all the outside work done, like the garden cleaned up, and usually you're out there freezing hands when we're putting away furniture, and then got it done. So sad to put it away, sad to clean up, but got it all done.
Yeah.
With nice.
Which reminds me, Sue's well behind her work out there, Sue. Not a very happy thing to have day by day that Nancy's beat you, and there's still a lot of leaves and stuff out there. She'll try to keep up.
So
You know.
maybe we'll have to have a hub at Sue's and get it all done.
There you go. One backyard, the great cleaned up. That'd be fun.
That would
Good
make me
idea.
happy.
And she would be happy at all. Yes. Moving on. Who else would like to be happy? Beth is happy, and then we'll come back to Jessica.
I started going whole food plant-based the last week of February to get fit and healthy because I decided at this age I'd better do that. Anyways, and I've now lost a total of 87 pounds, and my fitness level is way high, and I'm having a great time with it, and it's been well worth the journey. So I'm quite enjoying it.
Great
Congrats.
news. Great news indeed. Who else would like to go? Sarah, you like to give it a shot? Go on, Sarah. Something really happy. It's us up in spirit here.
So my hobby in my spare time when I have it or make time for it is quilting. And so double duty, I'm not able to really focus because I'm listening to everybody, but I've been actively getting time in sewing, and I've been very fulfilling. So it feels good. Yeah.
I wouldn't know about that because sewing's like someone else's work to me. But anyway.
Oh, it's just a big puzzle.
Oh, in that case, maybe we can get involved.
Yeah.
Okay, who else would like to go? Hands up, hands up. Oh, Jessica. Oh, Jess. No, it says Jessica. You got Jessica right underneath you. It fooled me.
Well, I'm the one with the hand up. I had my poke in the eye on Monday again, and the results are still good. And so this last time was an 8-week time frame, and now we're already moving to the 10 weeks. So pleased to say that my doctor is happy about it. She says I'm going to get my next poke in the middle of January, right between her Christmas vacation and her maternity leave. So I guess I'm doing good.
That's got my eye a little watery because getting poked in the eye must be a great thing. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're happy. Jessica, you happy?
I am. So yesterday morning, my dad went in for spine surgery. They had to fuse C3 to C6 and open up his spinal cord. There's some technical medical term. I have no clue. Anyway, surgery was yesterday morning in Sudbury, and he got home this evening in New Liskeard, a 2.5-hour car ride. So he's home, 25 staples down the back of his spine, but he's doing good. So I'm very happy because it's been almost a year of us not knowing what's the matter with him. So hopefully this will be a right step in the right direction.
Oh, great. Now my back's hurting. My God, this medical stuff's going to get me down.
I have pictures.
Huh?
I have pictures.
No, thank you. I get very emotional with pictures. Heather, you look happy. Could be you're happy?
I have a cat on me.
I suppose I could be happy, but I've had cats on me, and I've never been that happy about it, but it's okay.
What am I happy about? So I'm a crocheter, so I just finished a second blanket for one of my nieces for Christmas. So I'm happy about that because then I don't have to worry about it.
Again, people with all these abilities, it looks kind of sad because, but that's okay because Sue is behind her leaves. So let's get back to her. Sue.
Oh, I'm happy for a different reason. Bev introduced me to the Conqueror. The Conqueror is a fitness challenge, and you go to different places virtually. And I finally signed up for it yesterday, Bev. Look at that. Now I've made her happy. I am going to walk around Paris online. And this is one of the smallest ones that you can sign up for. Like the number of kilometers is so little compared to the ones that Bev has done. But I wanted to make it realistic because I'll be doing some of this with a cane. My hip has been really bothering me. So I figure a couple of kilometers a day is doable for me. And I've given myself 6 months to complete it.
That's because
But
you can't read these.
I'm
That's
happy
because you can't
to
read the street
start
signs.
it. Rick says he's not going around Paris with me, though.
Wow. There we go. Anyone I'm leaving out? Oh, Kitty. Kitty, how can I do that? Kitty.
Yeah. Um, I had the pleasure of taking my granddaughter to an eye appointment this afternoon, and it's just around the corner from me. But on display on the counter at the eye doctor was Rich's book. And I don't know whether he can hear that or not, but I thought, isn't that lovely? There's his book just on display there. And I was very impressed.
And we're all happy for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. Anybody I left out? No one? Ah, Bev again. Hey, Bev.
Well, this is my, I just finished the Appalachian Trail. I started it, I think it was in February or whatever, but it took me quite a while. It was 1,968.26 miles, but I got it done. I was doing almost 10 miles a day. So it's, yeah, I really enjoy them. I think I've done, I don't know how many I've done exactly, but 20 or 23 challenges. And a lot of them have been longer because then it takes me longer to get it and it doesn't cost me as much, but I love doing it. I find it a lot of fun, and I like getting the medals in the mail. That's the part I like. It was like, yes. They even have a Facebook group too, where everybody's like posting their medals and how they're doing. So it's a lot of fun. It helps keep me spurred on to keep doing this fitness and getting healthy. And at 71, almost 72, it's been a challenge, but getting her done.
There you go. We will not be doing that trail for a long time now. She's doing Paris very slowly. Of course, she's awed by the sights she's seen, of course.
Rick, you got to start somewhere.
Yes, if we could start, say, I don't know, in Lobo. Pretty sure I could do Lobo. Anyone else? Oh, there you go from Kitty. Do you know the doctor? Eye doctor. And focus on lecture. Hope that is answered. I guess that's everybody. So I'll hand it back to Marilyn. Marilyn, I should say, not Marilyn, because Marilyn's not doing it. It's Marilyn.
Happily hand it over to Marilyn, but I don't think she wants to do that today.
Oscar, Marilyn, you want to do it today?
Anyway, well, thank you very much, Rich, and everybody. I'm glad to hear that everybody's got reasons to be happy today because it's a funny day today. Anyway, so let's get to the formal presentation. I'm going to have Jessica present our guest speaker because she's the one who offered to go chase after him to speak to us. So take it away, Jessica.
I don't know where I want to stand, sorry. All right, so I would like to introduce Rotarian Ken Corlett. He is our neighbor, well, my neighbor. He just lives a few miles down the road. So Ken joined the Thamesville Rotary Club in 1990. Unfortunately, he was the last president of the Thamesville Rotary Club. And what year did you close?
2011.
In 2011. So after a few years of floating around with various local clubs, he decided to join the Dresden Rotary Club. He has been president twice, and then he has served as the assistant governor for 5 years. 3 years are the normal term, but they kept him through for the COVID period. 2 years ago, he was asked to co-chair the District Polio Society Initiative, which also put him on the District Foundation Committee. He was thrilled to accept this position as the Rotary Polio experience is his favorite Rotary story. Last year, he received the Brimer Williams Award from the district. This award is presented to someone who is supportive of the foundation and its initiatives. In his personal life, he was a farmer, a teacher from grade 3 up to community college, and a chartered coach bus driver. Now he does some spare bus driving with the local bus line. And like I said, he's also my neighbor, so I get to see him on occasion in town. So I would like to present Ken this evening.
Do it from here or up there?
Would you like me to bring the laptop to the table?
As long as they can hear him well, it's okay.
That's what I'm thinking, bring it here to here.
It's always embarrassing to hear someone try to introduce me as Jessica did. Because I realize how old I am. And I have another neighbor, well, we both have another neighbor that phones me once in a while, fairly early in the morning. And his question is always, well, are you dead or alive? And I try to answer him, and he says, well, the neighbors will be disappointed. But I'll try and disappoint him for a lot more time, because I have to stick around long enough to get the letter. You all know what the letter is? When you hit 100, the king will send you a congratulation letter for continuing to keep breathing. So I'm waiting for the letter. And I'm wondering if I'm broadcasting loudly enough. I don't care about the visual, but am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Excuse me. I'll suggest I feel at home here with a bunch of you because I am not a dog person, but I am a cat person. And we had up to 7, about 5 months ago. Then they moved on. One of them went away on a holiday for about a month and a half and came back just early this week. And so it's been talking to me, crying, and I haven't figured out what it's saying. But it's nice to see a bunch of cat people. And here's something for you to work with if you want to figure out how to show them.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight to talk to you for a few minutes about Rotary and its fight against polio. And I'm going to have to use a marker, which is 1985. Prior to 1985, more than 350,000 people, in fact, almost 400,000, contracted polio each year. And if you do some simple math, that is about 1,000 people per day, and most of them were children. The virus that they contracted usually lived in sewage, and a virus could be very happy in sewage for about 5 days. So if a child were to in some way get involved with sewage, whether you touched it or stepped in it or something, there's a reasonable chance that he could catch the polio virus. And if he did get the virus, the results could range from practically nothing to death, just depending on how violent the virus was and how hard your body fought against it. There are people in the world that you might even know who have had it. Probably in your lives, I've crossed trails with some, but the higher profile one, since he was in the news in the last week, Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Senate minority, he's had it. And if you look at him now, you can see how when he walks, he has a slight limp. I heard a rumor that Nixon might have had it, but I can't confirm that. But I think you all know Franklin Roosevelt had it, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. Something you can do, and I gave Jessica a link for this, is to check up on a fellow named Polio Paul. Polio Paul died this past spring, and he was in his 70s. When he was in his single-digit years, he contracted polio, and he had to spend his lifetime in an iron lung. The iron lung basically was a sealed container which went around your neck, and sometimes it would let your feet hang out, sometimes your feet were in it. But it was controlled air pressure. So the pressure would go up and down, and that would simulate the movement of your chest and stomach when you're breathing. So the pressure would go down, and that would force air through his mouth and nose into his lungs. And then when the pressure went up, that would force his lungs to express that air out. He was able to get out of that iron lung for a short time. I don't know how he did it, but it's something called frog breathing, where he would grasp a bunch of air in his mouth, swallow it, and it would end up in his lungs. But he could only do that for a short period of time. Paul, though, did become a lawyer, and he spent his working career as a lawyer, but also in the iron lung. Not a life you'd want to live, but I guess if you want to live, that's your choice and you do it. 1985, however, is a key year because that was the year that Rotary International decided that there was a possibility that something they could do to help eliminate polio. The vaccine had been developed and had been proven to work. As an aside, I remember getting it when I was in grade 1 or 2. A couple people came into our little one-room school and gave us a sugar cube. It had the inoculant in it, and we would eat the cube. I think I can assure you that no kid is going to turn down a sugar cube. But after I did that, and after we all did it, we were immune from polio for the rest of our lives. Now the inoculant is distributed differently. Excuse me. The vaccine is now administered to children. The younger, the better. It's really just 2 drops of the serum on the kid's tongue, and that will ensure they don't get polio for the rest of their lives. The problem with it is that it tastes good, and the kids want to come back for more. And like so many other things, too much of a good thing can become bad. So what the people administering the vaccine decided to do was dip the child's finger into a purple dye. That served 2 purposes, because then when the child came back for a second dose, they would say, oh no, you've already got a purple finger. You've had it and you can't have any more. But it also worked as a way of identifying kids who did not have the inoculant, and they were able to get them in and present them with the inoculant, and of course, then dip their finger in the dye. Right now, and this might be a little fundraiser for you, we set up purple pinky tables at some of our Rotary functions. It doesn't take too much. It takes a few posters and a can or dish to hold the money, and it takes someone to put on purple fingernail polish. 2 people will sit there, one, and people then will go over to see what it's all about. They'll donate $1 or $2 or $5 or $10 to the one person. The other one paints the small fingernail purple. It becomes a sign of pride or shame when we get together for assembly meals and meetings, because invariably someone is going to ask who spent their money at the polio table. People hold up their hand and they show off their purple fingernail. People who didn't get a purple fingernail will just keep their hands down. So there's a shaming effect there. But usually everybody does it because there's no limit to the amount of money you give. You might give $1 or $2 or $5, doesn't matter. So it's not going to break your bank, and it does help. So there's a project you might run. If you ever have a community project where there's a place where you could set up a table and put 2 people there, one to collect money and one to paint fingernails. And it provides something for people to talk about as people walk around. People might notice your fingernail and ask why you have that. And then you explain it. And that helps with the promotion of the polio fundraising. Another very important thing to consider is that whatever money we raise for polio goes to the foundation's Polio Plus account and is matched 2 to 1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So that means if you put $1 into the Polio Plus account, the Gates will put in their $2, and your $1 now has the weight of $3. That's amazing, and it's a real testament to the trust that the Gates have in Rotary's polio initiative. Now, as a result of Rotary's initiative, the cases of polio have gone down. I have to say we went a little backwards this year, but I want to tell you first about last year, and then we'll talk about this year. You remember I said 1995, or not, sorry, 1985 with 1,000 people per day infected. In 2023, in the whole world, we had 12 cases. That's 12 in the whole year. And that's a massive, massive difference between 1985 and 2023. Now we've gone up a little bit backwards this year as we're up to 64 cases, and the year is not over. I'm not 100% certain why it's happened, but it has happened in 2 countries, and they've been on the list for a long time now. That's Afghanistan and Pakistan. I don't know for sure why it went backwards, but I have a theory. We found that women tend to be the drivers behind getting their kids vaccinated. And especially in Afghanistan, women have been subjected to a lot of restrictions where they can't just get out and do things on their own. They have to have supervisors and caretakers and stuff like that. And that could be a big part of the problem. We found a few this year in Gaza, and I don't have to explain to you what's going on in that area. So polio is not over. It's not like it used to be, but it's not over. So the focus is right now on those 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Although there have been some teams sent to the Gaza Strip to make sure that polio is kept under control. Another issue is that polio, the virus at least, is just an airplane ride away. Last year, I think there were 8 people that came into New York City from one of the endemic countries. The Americans were lucky, and we are too, as they were quickly identified and isolated very quickly. But it just is that easy when airplanes fly back and forth so frequently. Now, what are we doing and what can you do? Some of the districts, including mine, 6380, have adopted a program called the Polio Plus Society. And it's a commitment that members make. It's a voluntary commitment, and I've left a link to the document with Jessica. What we ask people to do is give 135 Canadian dollars, which is approximately 100 US dollars, to the Polio Plus Society every year until polio is defeated. Last year, the WHO said that could maybe be 3 or 4 years. I hope that's still right, although the numbers did go up this year. If you're Canadian, and I know a number of you are, we really don't like committing in US dollars because there's an additional cost there. Jessica probably smiles about this, but banks like to collect a fee for converting funds to foreign currency. So your 100 US dollars probably in round numbers becomes 135 in Canadian.
1.41 today.
She's right on that. And then there's an exchange fee of another $3 to $4. And that $3 to $4 goes to the bank. And I'm sorry, Jessica, but I begrudge giving any money to a bank if I can avoid it. So what we've done in Canada is change the rules a bit. You don't need 100 US dollars. We asked to sign on for 135 Canadian, which is very similar. And then it goes to Brantford to the Canadian Rotary office. And another thing, and you can do that directly through the web pages. Another thing that happens is it's a lot easier to get a tax receipt if you send it to the Canadian office rather than sending it to Evanston. I know I had to change my commitment when I first started this. I made my commitment in US dollars as I thought that's what they wanted, and it's so easy. When it's all said and done, I gave about 135 to Rotary, had to give another 4 or 5 to the bank to exchange the money, and then I didn't get a tax receipt because CRA doesn't honor tax receipts from the US. I didn't feel too good about that. So I changed, and now I give 135 to the Canadian office. That way it's easy to get a tax receipt, and 135 is really close to 100 US dollars. And that's the number we've agreed to on the Canadian side of our district. And like your district, we are international. So the American side gives 100 US, we give 135. And I think I told you Jessica has a copy of that commitment for me. Now, what I tell people, because I go to the clubs in Chatham-Kent area, I tell them about this program and what's all about. And then I suggest to them, because it's a multi-year program, that your circumstances could change. And you're suddenly in a much higher income bracket and you could give more than $135. Certainly feel free to do that. But it could go the other way too. You could lose your job. Your income could go down. So reduce your payments. Nothing says it must be 135. And you know something? Nobody's going to check, as there are no Rotary police going around checking. If times are really tough, then give substantially less, but don't tell anybody. Now, I gave Jessica, and I hope she understands it's a loan. I gave her a pin. If you make the commitment, and I've got one here, but she's got one, maybe you can see better. It's the Polio Society or Polio Plus Society pin that you get if you make that commitment. And it says you're a member of the Polio Plus Society. This number or this pin is not as valuable as say a Paul Harris pin, but it has some value because you don't just get it. You have to be committed to polio eradication. There's another nice thing too. I'm sure all of you know about Paul Harris points, and I'm hoping all of you collect those points. And if you do, you know the magic number is 1,000. That's basically $1,000 US. If you get there, you get a pin, or if your club will donate the appropriate number of points to your account, pushing that level, you'll get it. That's how we get Paul Harris pins in my club. Probably for all the years I've been involved in Rotary, there's only been 2 or 3 people who received the Paul Harris pin just because they donated $1,000 US. They might donate 500, but then our club puts enough money in the budget that we can top it off if we think that person deserves it. You have to earn the first Paul Harris pin. And I think that makes it more valuable because someone else said you earned it or deserved it. The next pin where you get the sapphires or the rubies, if you go that deep, those pins you get yourself as you donate money, and there's a record of it at RI. And eventually you get to the next level, ending up with up to 6 sapphires or up to 3 rubies. I cannot emphasize enough, though, the fact that any Polio Plus Fund money that you donate also earns foundation points. You're in an internet club, so maybe you already do this, but I recommend that you get involved with the Rotary International webpage, get signed in, and then you can find almost anywhere you look on those pages the word donate. I don't know why they put it there so many times. I'll let you figure that out. I recommend you sign up there, fill in the blanks, set up your donation amount as a recurring withdrawal. You can set up how much money you want to give each time, and you can set up how frequently, and then you're finished and you don't ever have to think about it again. In my case, I give $135 to Polio Plus. I have it set up now, and I know it's coming out of my bank this week, or in fact, it might have already come out. I haven't checked, but I know it will. And I don't have to worry about that withdrawal again. I also give some money to the foundation annual fund share account. And with that, I've determined how much money I can afford to give every year, divide it by 4, and then I have recurring payments every quarter. That way it doesn't hurt when I take out a big amount. And I think that's the best way to set up these Polio Plus Fund accounts. You'll see something else in the foundation site called Miles for Polio. Don't use that one. That's a whole different animal. Go to the Polio Plus account. That's where you set this up. The traditional clubs often still use the treasurers in the old style where you give your money to the club treasurer, and then the treasurer deposits on your behalf. You could certainly do that, but it's more work for your treasurer. The most efficient way is to set up your account with the foundation and then, in my opinion, use automatic withdrawals. And finally, you're probably happy to hear that word. Finally, while the foundation holds your money for 3 years before it distributes it, the Polio Plus Society money is spent immediately. The Gates Foundation matches the money at a rate of 2 to 1, and the money is sent to the needy area. RI has budgeted $50 million to polio. The Gates Foundation adds another $100 million, so the RI combined budget's $150 million. Very different topic, but are you aware that 2 or 3 months ago, the Canadian government committed $151 million to polio eradication through the Rotary system? Our government also has shown a lot of faith in the program used by RI. That's the end of it.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken. I'm just going to open it up for questions if anybody wants to ask a question. I have a very limited screen here, so Sue, I think you probably on your computer can see all the different members. So if you can let us know if there's anyone who has a question.
I'm looking and I don't see a question yet. I wonder if you might want to speak to, this question is for Ken. Would you like to speak to the fact that every time you are giving to the foundation, you are also earning points that you can, so that you can give a Paul Harris Fellow to someone else?
Oh, you're talking about transfer points.
Yeah, the
Right.
ones that we accumulate that we can't use for ourselves.
Yes, they have absolutely no value except if you transfer them to another member. So if I'm sitting with, say, 800 foundation points, and you have 200 transfer points, you can give them to me. And that way my number goes up to 1,000 and I get a pin. Those transfer points are things that not everybody's heard about. They're just coming to more people's knowledge now. I know last year in my club, we gave out 5 Paul Harris pins, but the club only budgeted for 1. So we used a bunch of transfer points from people that were in agreement to do that. And if you are in my club now, we sent out a request for a nomination for Paul Harris. If you nominate somebody, you're the first one I'm going to go to and say, how about your points? And then transfer. You obviously must like the person. Maybe you'll give your points. You have to give a minimum of 100 points. You can't go for less. But like I said before, they're worth absolutely nothing to anybody anywhere except for transferring from you to another person. And the charts, I don't know that all of you can get them, but your president can get the charts that shows all your members and all their points. And that person can then point at somebody. And there's another thing too, if you don't use them, you lose them. Yeah. If you transfer out for some reason to another, better not use that word. If you move on to another club or just leave Rotary, those points don't go with you, they die. So you can't, and there's no bank. I was hoping there was a bank where you could put your points, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
What we did in this club last year and the year before is we've given Paul Harris's 2 people in the community based on our points, but also based on their on merit, on the fact that they really did deserve it.
Last year, we actually presented a Paul Harris to Bert Vanderhyde.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so that was the big thing for our club last year.
Yeah, I was quick to tell him he better get his next pin by making donations.
I'd like to say thank you very much to Ken for taking the evening to come and speak to us on our world's greatest meal to talk about polio and where we're standing with that. And I hope you all have enjoyed his presentation and are inspired to continue supporting our eradication of polio, because it's just that little bit left to go. And I never am good at doing that, but it's just that close. So thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate it. I hope that you all have had a nice evening and that the rest of your evening is going to be great. So let's finish off with the 4-way test. And Ken, I'm sure you've heard it often enough too. So I think I'm going to let Kitty do it again because she did it so well.
The 4-way test of the things that Rotarians think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And the 5th unwritten rule, will it be fun?
So thank you, Kitty. Everyone have a really great evening. Thank you so much to Ken. We appreciate so much that you came to join us tonight.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Everybody, have a good night. We'll see you next time. And don't forget the happy chats. We're there on the Wednesday evenings. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.